Everybody, I thought I would add one of my efficient mobility movement and stillness classes to my IGTV. So all you need is yourself, a comfy spot, preferably warm, maybe a block, a strap, a blanket, a pillow, a bolster. So all I want you to do is to find a comfortable place. And sometimes it's good to start out in constructive rest, where your feet are a little wider and your knees are together. And that way you can feel the length of your spine and you can kind of notice anything going on with your back. And just notice how fully supported you are by the earth. And notice the boundary of your clothes, the air on your skin. And just notice if there's anything that you can do to make yourself feel just a little bit more effortless. Maybe a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth would feel good, just to surrender any amount more into this form that you created with your body. And then just start to find the rhythm of your breath. Just inhaling as deeply as is comfortable. Feeling that expansive pause at the top for as long as is comfortable. Exhaling as fully as is comfortable. And just lingering on empty at the bottom until you have the urge to begin that breath cycle again. And just letting this natural cadence of your breath unfold. And maybe notice anything else that's present for you right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just anything that comes to mind. And then if another cleansing breath would feel good, maybe inhaling a little more deeply and exhaling through your mouth. And just truly giving yourself permission to be here right now in this stillness, in the movement to come, in this natural rhythm of your breath. And if there's anything that you think will help guide you today, an intention of some type, maybe even just this ability for us to connect with the space within us that has everything that we need to exist in any situation. That source, that center, and just what a gift it is that we have this practice to remind us of that. And then slowly just bringing your awareness back to your physical self, maybe starting to create a little bit of movement, circling wrists and ankles, maybe squeezing, releasing fingers and toes, and just stretching however feels comfortable. And then when you're ready, guiding your knees into your chest, maybe creating some deep stirs, just noticing how your femurs feel in your hip socket, maybe noticing how your back feels, doing little clockwise and counterclockwise circles. And then finding some stillness. You could use your hands to support your legs if you need to, or you can bring your hands to your belly. Take a deep breath in, exhale completely, and then feel your navel draw in towards your spine and feel how it kind of helps your lower back cement into the earth. Cinch in your waist and just notice the muscles of your abdominals wrapping from top to bottom, front to back, side to side. You can keep your left knee bent and land your left foot, or you can extend your left leg long. It's truly your choice. And then keeping your shin parallel, your knee directly over your hip, we're just going to start with some gentle internal and external rotations. And notice how my femur does not move other than internally and externally. It doesn't move away from my body. It doesn't move left to right. It just is recruiting my abductors and my adductors, as well as my core stability, the backs of my shoulders, the back of my leg or my foot if I had my knee bent. And we're just slowly using this purposeful mobility movement to warm up the muscles that we're going to stretch. And you might coordinate the movement with your breath. And then with your next inhalation, see if you can externally rotate it. And then as you do, find your left knee bent if it was straight and cross right ankle over left thigh. And once you've done that, maybe press your thigh away and just notice the outer hip that you just warmed up through that specific movement. And then this is where you can kind of decide, do you need to elevate your foot on something? If you have a block or like a pillow, maybe you elevate your foot to make it a little bit more intense. You can always get some shoulder opening by creating little cactus arms or even bringing your hands above your head. You might even take those cactus arms and bring them up and even let them rotate forward and just kind of hang to get a different type of mobility, just kind of doing double duty here. Finding your breath and just noticing. And this is my YIN Yen inspired class, so we will be pausing at points from 1 to possibly 5 minutes. And you'll notice as you're here, maybe you find some softening occur and you want to increase it, so you need to find a little interlacing behind your thigh because you can't feel the intensity that you'd like. We're just using this as like an exploration of what you need. And if it's too much, just kind of back off and find a little more ease. And allowing this breath and maybe that intention that you planted that seed of earlier to be your guide. If your mind starts to wander, just bring it back to what is right now. This form you've created, this movement and flow of your breath. And if you interlaced your hands or lifted your foot up on something, go ahead and release it. And then keeping this little form of your legs with the 2 little triangles that you made, roll to the outer edge of your left foot and land your right foot either on the earth or maybe let it hover or land it on a block or a bolster. And if you need more intensity, you could even take this left hand and press your thigh away, but just making sure that you're leaning into the earth with both of your shoulders, the back of your head. And just noticing the unraveling in your outer hip, maybe your piriformis, maybe it even extends all the way into your back, your legs. Just adding one more layer to this yen posture. And maybe stopping the press and just kind of letting your leg fall out. It may even come into a semblance of a half lotus if you're pretty open. And knowing that a lot of times people let their leg fall towards the place where your legs rolled, but we're actually trying to roll it away, like towards the end of your mat, this right leg. And then we're going to create this into more of a twist. So if you want to ravel your legs and create more of an eagle leg twist, that's an option. Or you can unravel your legs and stack them. And then lean into the earth with both of your shoulders, and maybe your gaze comes more fully to the opposite direction of your legs. And again, just breathe. And as you land in this twist or perfect spiral, maybe you take your hand and you lengthen your hip slightly away from your shoulder. And just breathe. And if a cleansing breath would feel good to you, filling up a little bit more deeply, and then just opening your mouth and sighing your breath out. Just surrendering any amount more into this form you have created. And when you feel ready, just slowly starting to unwind your gaze. You can use your muscles or use your hands to help guide you out of this twist. And then making any little intuitive movements. You might do some windshield wipers. You might hug your knees in. And we're going to stay working with the right side. So whenever you're ready, we're going to interlace our fingers to the outside of our right shin. And then keeping your arms really long, just for a moment, engage your core, navel to spine, bring your chin towards your chest, press your knee into, or your shin into your interlaced fingers, and just get a little stretch of the back of your body. Notice how your shoulders feel. And then guide that knee back as close as is comfortable for you. And then we're going to interlace our hands behind our thigh. And keeping our thigh as close towards our body as is comfortable, we're going to inhale, point our toe, and lengthen. And exhale, flex your foot and pull your heel towards your behind. So again, inhale and exhale. And this isn't about trying to lengthen your leg per se. It's more about this specific functional movement, just kind of flossing your sciatic nerve. And just playing around with how it feels to flex your foot and how it feels to lengthen your ankle. And when you've done maybe about 10 of these, just take a minute. You're probably going to want to grab your strap at this point, or your belt, and then just take it and hook it behind the front two corners of your foot. Now you can allow your thigh to come further away from you. And we're going to do something similar. So we're going to use the way that our brain works to create a tendon release and a muscular release. So keeping a micro bend in your leg, pull your strap as you press with your foot into the strap. And then squeeze the front of your leg, flex your foot, and lengthen the back. Good, let's do it again. Press, engage, create your own resistance, little tendon release, and then muscular release as you squeeze your quadricep, flex your foot. Let's do it again. Press, and then flex. And so we're going to change the rotation of our femur now. So we're going to do an external rotation. Same thing. Press, fire up the outer foot, pull, and then flex your foot more towards your outer quad. And then bend and press and pull, and then flex and lengthen. Again. And lengthen. And now let's do an internal rotation. So sickling your toe across your left hip, same thing. Bend and press. You could always lengthen your left leg long if you like. And then flex towards your inner quad. And again, bend and press. And then flex. One more time. And then once you've done each rotation and the neutral, bring your foot back to neutral. And then just wrap your hands up in that strap. So you're not having to engage your arms at all. You're finding almost like a hang. And you're lengthening the entire back of your leg. And just find a little space to drop into here. And again, just finding this pause in this yin posture after the specific movements to warm up the specific places that we're trying to lengthen and create space. Just really listening to your body. When you feel like you're ready, we're going to unwind. We're going to grab both of the straps in our right hand. And we're going to find some more functional movement. We're going to inhale. And then exhale, lengthen your leg out to the side. And then bring it back to like a little happy baby. And then exhale, lengthen. Trying to keep your left hip point on the ground. If you need to bend your left knee to do so, you can. And just finding, again, that specific movement. Little half happy baby, squeeze, create that kind of compression, and then lengthen, and then squeeze, compression, and lengthen. Let's do like 2 more. Just coordinating that movement with your breath. Last one. And then deciding what would feel the best for you. Finding a little half happy baby pause. And it may not feel good to have your foot grasp. You may keep the strap. You may grab your ankle. You may hook behind your knee and pull your knee in towards. But we're just kind of creating a little dam of energy in the outer portion of our hips. And we're just finding this little pause. And as you get deeper, you may find you can allow it to become a little bit more intense. You may need to back off. And just using your breath and your intention to keep you here in this form you've created, in this natural flow of your breath. And when you're ready, just softening that leg away, rolling slightly onto your left side, and then just finding a place where you can land in a little quad stretch. So your foot may be landed like this. You may be able to come down more thoroughly in more of like a half Virasana, hero pose, or you may decide it's too much and kind of roll to the side and do it more like a quad stretch, ankle stretch. Just being super mindful. And slowly, when you're ready, unwind. Maybe do some more windshield wipers. Maybe hug your knees in. Maybe just lengthen long and just kind of wiggle your feet back and forth. And just notice right and left. Your right side probably feels a little longer, a little more spacious. And then we'll begin the whole process on the left. So just like before, when you're ready, guiding your left knee in towards your chest, and then making sure again, if you need to support it, you do. If not, you can either have your right knee bent or your right leg long, and we're simply going to rotate our foot across midline, engaging our core, making sure we're solid with our stable base, and then extend it out. So we're just creating that little back and forth, internal, external rotations, almost like wagging the tail back and forth, except for we're not moving our leg close to us, and we're not moving our leg far away or side to side. We're just creating those adductors and those abductors, as well as our core. And just breathing, noticing any differences on this side. And then when you're ready, the next time that your leg comes across midline, if your leg was long, bend the knee, cross left ankle over right. And maybe you press gently. And then this is where you'll know if this is where you need to stay, if maybe you need to elevate your foot on something, if maybe you need to interlace your hands behind your thigh. And just again, finding a little space to drop into. Using the power of your breath to just kind of soften with each exhalation, being sure you're not gripping the very parts you're supposed to be softening. And then adding that extra little layer, landing your foot, rolling to the outer edge, and then finding that place to land, either on a blanket, a bolster, and then just pressing that thigh away from you, unraveling any amount more. And if you want to add that little shoulder opener, you find those cactus arms, palms facing away from you, and then let them hang. Keep that external rotation of that left hip. And then when you're ready to come into the spiral, maybe you wrap your legs like eagle leg, or maybe you stack, but just finding as much space as is comfortable in the spiral towards the left, with your navel, your ribs, your heart, and maybe your gaze comes all the way towards the left. Breathing in as deeply as is comfortable, Just feeling that expansion as you pause at the top. And then exhaling as fully as is comfortable. And lingering on empty until you have the urge to begin the breath cycle again. And if a cleansing breath is calling to you, maybe find another one. And sighing it out. And just seeing how much more you can soften here. And slowly allowing your gaze to come back through center, using your muscles or your hands to help unwind yourself. And then finding some windshield wipers just side to side. Maybe giving yourself a little squeeze. And then when you're ready, let's find that left knee in towards our chest and release fingers behind your shin. Keep your arms long. And then engage your core, bring your chin towards your chest, and find that stretch. Just keep lengthening from in between shoulder blades out through fingers, elbows. And then pulling that knee as close towards your body as is comfortable. And then remembering that this isn't about lengthening your leg. Finding the interlacing now behind your thigh, keeping that thigh in towards your chest. And as we inhale, we're going to point. And then we're going to flex as we exhale. And again, this is the flossing of the sciatic nerve. This is just kind of getting our body ready to pause in a little bit in the stretches. But again, always coming back to the functional movement that we need to create more specific mobility within our bodies, in movement and in stillness. Inhale, exhale. Let's do 3 more. And on your last one, once you've allowed your leg to soften away, grabbing your strap, hooking it behind the front 2 corners of your feet. And again, we're going to find that engagement as we press and we flex, squeeze, and we press and we flex. So again, as we microbend our knee and press and pull at the same time, we're creating a tendon release. And as we squeeze the front of our leg and lengthen the back, we're creating a muscular release. And as you do this, you can play around with the external rotation and the internal rotation if you like. Just noticing the same muscles, tendons, ligaments being recruited each time, just in a little different way. And once you're ready to find that stillness, you're going to lengthen your leg as long as it's comfortable, and you're going to wrap yourself up and find a place to hang. And this side may be totally different, so making sure that your arms are not engaged, and you can just create a space to And as you're here, keeping that neutral rotation, you may notice how it feels to just slightly externally rotate. And maybe a slight internal with the circling across your right hip, just finding the place where you feel the sensation that is most beneficial for you, where you feel space being created. And then when you're ready, just slowly starting to unroll your straps, placing both straps in your left hand. And we're going to create that little compression, little half happy baby, and then lengthening, compression and lengthening. And again, this side may be totally different, so massage it out if it feels tight. Just be super mindful. And just creating that breath, movement, connection. And then whenever you feel like you're ready to start to create the pause, you can find a little bind of your foot, of your toe. You can find a little hook underneath your knee and behind your thigh. You can even grab the outside of your shin or knee if it feels better, but just finding that pause in this half happy baby. Using any support that you need with your elbow on the ground, supporting you. If it feels too intense, a kickstand. If you need to straighten your other leg or bend it, that's an option. If it's too intense on your hip. And just breathe. And then finally, when you've had enough, we're going to grab our leg and we're going to roll to our right. And we're just going to start to kind of notice how it feels to pull our heel in towards our behind. And you can release the top of your foot to make it more intense. You can have the bottom of your foot resting on something. You can make it more like a half hero pose. But just finding a little pause here. And again, only staying here until your body is telling you that it's enough. And then when you've had enough, slowly begin to release. Again, making any little intuitive movements that will allow you to just notice now the space that you've created in the left side of your body. Hopefully you're feeling a little more even now that we've completed the unraveling on both sides. And one final thing, we're going to finish with a little inversion. So if you have a pillow, block, anything, you're going to engage your core, lift your hips, and allow this to come underneath your sacrum and hip points. Once you feel nice and solid, we're just going to extend one leg up and then the other leg. And this is where you can be totally still. If your hamstrings are feeling like they've had enough, you can always bend your knees and have your heels kind of coming down towards your sitting bones and your knees, thighs towards your chest. You can stay lengthened. You could find little movements. You can do whatever feels good here. You could even create an inner thigh stretch. You could even use those little cactus arms again to open up your shoulders by creating that rotation that we did earlier. We're just going to be here for just a little bit. It's really important to shift your perspective and to actually be in the opposite direction than you normally are physically. It kind of changes everything. It changes the way our blood pumps through our body. It changes the way our breath moves. So just noticing as your hips are above your heart's above your head, how does that change things for you, physically, mentally, emotionally? And just staying with your breath. You might even intensify the shoulder opener by bringing your hands underneath you, almost like a little, let your fingers graze one another, almost like a little half Gomukhasana arm, half. So we're able to do shoulders and inversion at the same time. And just really listening to your body when you feel like you've been upside down as long as you needed to be. And just slowly letting one leg land, the other leg land. You may find one more lengthening and more of an intense back bend. Knowing if it's too much, bend one knee and then switch. And then finding your way when you're ready into that place where you're back on the earth. And if you need like another little hug, maybe an interlacing, a press, and like a little hanging Baddha Konasana to release your back, maybe a little full happy baby, maybe a little kick side to side, and then finding your final Savasana. And as you land, just letting all of that go. Maybe one final deep breath in, exhale completely. And just staying here as long as you like. Truly becoming your most ultimate expression of surrender right here, right now, just as you are.